We may have this picture in our minds that because someone's frugal, you know, their surroundings, or they're going to be living in a place that's not maintained, maybe it's not clean, maybe it's, you know, there just has this run-down look and this run-down feel. And no, absolutely not. Things are not gloom and doom in the super extreme frugal world. That's why I titled the video, "To Make You Happy and Independent." Back to our channel. I've got 3 excellent ideas for you today. Budget busting. You know what Henry David Thoreau used to do? He used to say that people laugh about how much they spend, but Henry David Thoreau used to laugh about how little he spent, and yet he still, you know, was happy. So these 3 budget busting ideas, extremely frugal ideas, will put a smile on your face. I know it always put a smile on my face. And I've got 35 years of frugal experience, and you know, I would just love to share ideas and do, you know, some idea sharing with other long-term frugal folks, just to really get the pot boiling on this thing. But let me show you, I've got 3 ideas. The first idea is, so this is the fixer-upper. I call it the fixer-upper, not complicated like, you know, you hear buying houses and fixing them up and all that. It's not that complicated. The idea is transferable to other items. All right, so the fixer-upper works like this. It's a citrus juicer made by Black & Decker. I bought it, it was not working. And because it was not working, I was able to get it for $1. Now, my reasoning for buying it, you say, why would you buy something that doesn't work? Well, the fixer-upper, number one, how do you know it's whether, you know, the wisdom in this idea, and these ideas are this: you're basically taking a $1 risk, okay? A $1 risk that maybe you can't fix it. Is that okay? Is it okay to risk $1? I think it is. I bought it for $1. It was not working. You plug it in, it wasn't working. It's not worth anything. You should have given it away for free, but it was at a thrift store, so they asked $1. I took it home. So my reasoning was, why would a solid tool, this was, I think it was a Black & Decker, okay? Now this wasn't the Black & Decker of nowadays where everything is made in China, but they still put the name Black & Decker on it. Now if you don't have a frame of reference, I'll tell you that this Black & Decker citrus juicer was so solid, it had a huge motor on it, on the bottom of it, and it weighed like, I don't know, 5 pounds or more. It was, I mean, it was heavy. When you sat it down, it wasn't going to move, just you budging. I mean, you had to put some effort into moving it. It was that heavy. And that made it super solid. Nowadays, everything is made in China. You go and buy these things, and the motor is a lot smaller. It's like this. This motor was like this big, as big as your whole palm. Nowadays, they're smaller motors. They don't weigh anything. They're super light. But the bottom line is that my thinking was, okay, why would a solid tool like this, American made, this is from years ago, heavy duty, not be working? So follow my thinking on this, and my thinking was, well, it's likely that it has sat for one reason or another. Maybe it sat in storage for a number of years. Maybe the person died and they didn't use it, you know, or something. Why else would it not be? If that was the case, I reasoned, and I looked at it and had 3 screws under the bottom, that I could just unscrew it and dust it off. So that's exactly what I did. I took it home, took the screws out, and I want to show you how I dusted it, just to give you some detail. I used the trusty new paintbrush with no paint on it, and you took the screws off and do a little brushing like that. Spray a little WD-40 on it, and I'm telling you, it was good as new. This thing worked for years and years and years. It sat there and I juiced all kinds of citrus with it. So I eventually had to give it away or sell it because we've been traveling the world and we've been dumping stuff. We've been becoming more and more minimalist in the last 10 years just from the travel that we've been doing all over the globe. And so, you know, you can't take anything with you, so you have to dump it and you become a forced minimalist. But with these techniques, you can restart your life, which is what we intend on doing. I've made videos saying I quit this nomading and this traveling thing. And when you restart your life again, this kind of idea, which I'm going to give you 2 more, is amazing because you can, and it doesn't have to be a citrus juicer. It could be any tool that you can pick up, that you can dust off and get it working again if you got it free or for only $1. The second thing is I was in, I think it was Home Depot, and there was these brand new shovels sitting there and they had a price on them of like $1. It was either $1 or $2, I don't remember. Now these were the tall ones, the tall handle, not the short one. And they were the fiberglass handle with the rubber grip, so they were, you know, like $20 to $25 brand spanking new. But I noticed that the metal part was completely rusted. Nobody was buying them, and so they reduced them. And you might think, well, who wants a rusted shovel? Now I used to do a lot of gardening, and now that we've been traveling the world, we quit all that for 10 years. But thinking about back in those days, gardening is super important to grow your own food or for composting or what have you. Highly recommended. That's one of the things that's so much more complicated when you go abroad, is that they have a lot of the way they live is in gated communities because of certain, you know, because of the way it is. And there's all cement and there's no place to garden and this kind of thing. And other things that I won't get into. That's not part of this video, different video. So what did I do with the shovel? Well, you hear people on other videos say things like, well, I've changed my own oil. Well, that's great. That's a great thing to do. Changing your own oil is one of those easy things to do. You just go under there and unscrew and let it out and put it and refill it. Easy thing to do. But then they say, well, so I took the oil to a recycling center. No. What I did with my oil is I put it in jugs. If you put it back in the old oil jugs, then it might be confusing because you'll have used oil in motor oil jugs and new oil, and then it'll be confusing. Which one's used? I have to open it. So what I did is I put it in a milk jug, and so you can see it. You can see that it's motor oil. So you put the motor oil in a milk jug, right? What for? Well, so that you can get a different brush, not the same brush. You get a dusting brush and an oil brush. So you get your trusty brush. Now I have to tell you, before I say that I went up to the shovel and I put my foot on it and I put my weight on it to test the shovel, and the metal didn't give, it didn't budge. So it wasn't rusted all the way through, it was just superficial. I figured that it probably sat in some corner where there was a roof leak, or who knows, window open, it got too much moisture in it and it superficially rusted. But I put my body weight on it and it didn't give, and I said, well, this is a good shovel. Took it home, put the used motor oil on it, good as new. But what other tools are sitting there in your shed or your gardening shed or what have you, that, you know, bicycle chain, motorcycle chain, anything that you could use this motor oil to take care of your tools and take care of your things. Taking care of your things, fixer-upper, taking care of maintenance is huge when you talk about budget busting, extremely frugal living. And I don't think it's extreme, I think it's just good sense. So there's one more thing that I'm going to give you. And so I was talking to this millionaire acquaintance, and it was during the real estate crash of 2008. And he said he was going to sell his house and he thought it would sell in a month or whatever. And I said to him, how do you think your house is going to sell in a month when all the other houses aren't selling? And he said, well, you see over there those light switches? He said, you see over there by the handles? Do you see over there the switches and the door edges and everything? I touch those up as I go along, and my house is in perfect condition. And when people come and look at my other houses, you go there and you get the fingerprints and the dirty and my houses sell. And that was his millionaire mentality. So this frugal, extreme budgeting poverty line, you can mix in the millionaire mentality and see why you can be super frugal, poverty line, extreme, and be happy. And so what's the hack? Well, the hack is spray paint. You don't have to get your tarps out. You don't have to get your rollers out and make things complicated. You get your paint. You got to get the right one, whether it's flat or shiny or whatever. And you can spray paint these edges. This door here is metal, which would make it super easy to do on. Of course, take a sponge and clean it first, see what cleans, but for the rest, whatever doesn't clean, or maybe it's chipped, and so you would just maybe get some masking tape and tape off, this metal lock area and this handle, and of course open the door so that it's not next to the wall, so you don't get the wall, but you would just psst, 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 just like that and touch it up. I used to do that on the corner of the very busy part of my home, which was the doorway between the living room and the kitchen where we like to cook pizza and other things, normal food. Pizza is normal. All right, so those are 3 things. You can easily go around touching up little spots. Just get the right color, that's the main thing. And if you're not sure, you can always test it inside a closet. That is a little tip there that I learned years ago, is to always test somewhere where if you don't like it, it's out of sight, out of mind, like in a closet. I've seen professional painters use the spray paint technique in high-end subdivisions in the US, of course. And so if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you and me. So there you go, 3 amazing budget-busting, extremely frugal ideas to make you happy and independent, because independent is the thing that has to be considered. Because independent is the part that makes you happy, because you just or you just brush some oil and and you're in business. There you go. I hope you like my 3 amazing foundational old-timey ideas that I personally used in my 30+ years of extreme frugal, super happy living. All right, so have a wonderful day. Thanks for coming to our channel.